Hey YouTube, happy Monday everyone. So as promised, I am back. And I got a haircut. Crazy, right? I can't believe I did it. I just needed a change. I'm about to be 24 on July 7th, so I figured I would just, give myself a new look. And since I'm going to grad school in the fall and I'm going to Greece in a couple weeks, I decided I needed a change. So anyway, I wanted to just touch base today about how I'm feeling and about everything, and I actually wanted to focus today's video on mental health. Um, I today posted a quote on my Instagram, just to get everyone kind of aware and thinking about them, how they are overall. And it says, your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And this kind of hits home for me because this weekend I had a little bit of a mental breakdown because of, family drama. We all have family drama. But this one definitely took a toll on me this weekend. And it kind of reminded me, that we all struggle with mental health, and mental health and our physical health are very much interrelated. And I just wanted to take a second to talk about that in terms of, your physical health and how that can affect your mental health. Today you would go into a clinician or a shrink or a psychiatrist, and you would tell them, I'm feeling really down, and they would give you a depression scale, and then if you check out and with depression, they'd prescribe you SSRIs or what have you, in order to boost your mood, and then you get just chemically dependent on something that doesn't actually teach you how to, manage something. And a lot of people talk about mental health as like, oh, this is something I need to deal with for the rest of my life. I don't consider mental health something you have to deal with. I think about it in terms of management, just like you need to manage your hair or manage your weight, or manage your time or manage schoolwork, whatever it is, what have you. It's just another part of your life. It's so stigmatized, and it breaks my heart because you can't just put a Band-Aid on it. It is something that you need to work at and learn how to manage, because especially if it's something that you're dealing with lifelong, it taking medication your entire life is not ideal. So one day when I'm a clinician, the first thing that I would look at in a client would be their physical health. And why is that? So 95% of the body's supply of serotonin and dopamine is actually manufactured by gut bacteria. Which is in our digestive tract. And so what does that serotonin production in your gut do? It actually influences two things. So your mood and also your GI tract, so your gastrointestinal activity. And low levels of serotonin production in your gut are actually linked to things like irritable bowel syndrome, cardiovascular disease, and osteoporosis, are just to name a few. And then, we all know that low levels of serotonin are associated with depression, because serotonin helps us regulate our mood, and it helps us regulate our social behavior and our appetite and our digestion and our sleep and our memory, and also our sexual function and desire. So it literally affects all aspects of your life. And so if you don't have an efficient serotonin production in your gut, it can really affect you in ways that you don't even realize, and the brain is just not recognizing that production. It's just not efficient. So, my first recommendation would be to, again, I'm not a doctor yet, but my first recommendation would be to look at your physical health. And so this 30-day, I'm actually on day 12 today of my 30-day Arbonne challenge. And one of the key components of the 30 days to healthy living is gut health. So you're rebalancing, the bacteria in your gut, and that can really help with serotonin production. So, if you're not looking particularly to lose weight, that is a byproduct of the 30 days. It could really help with depression and mood regulation. So yeah, I just want to put that out there. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was, in terms of serotonin, is that physical activity, while it doesn't produce serotonin, it does stimulate serotonin as well as dopamine and norepinephrine. I can't say that one. That one's a hard one. So you definitely want to, get in some physical activity, even if it's just going for a walk, because it can boost your overall mood. So I recommend those three things, focusing on your gut health, exercising, and, just making sure that you're really taking care of your body and stuff. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was one of the products that we have with Arbonne. It's called Mind Health. It's number 6102. And I actually recommended this to my little sister. She's 17. She has been managing ADHD from a very early age. Actually, she was, I think, diagnosed with ADHD when she was 5, which is, crazy to think that you can diagnose it that early. But by the age of 7, they were prescribing her Ritalin. And I don't know if many of you know, but Ritalin is basically speed. That's what it does. It stimulates dopamine production because ADHD is, the hallmark of ADHD is that it's a dysregulation in the dopamine system. Either the brain isn't producing or the gut isn't producing enough dopamine, or it's not being used efficiently. For some reason, it's just not, the neurotransmitters aren't communicating correctly in order for you to have, sort of a calm mood. And so Ritalin mimics these effects artificially. And so she was taking Ritalin for 7 years. And when, she would only take it during the school year. And during the school year, she would be like almost a zombie. Had no emotion. She had a blank affect. She wouldn't eat. She had no appetite. And it was pretty scary and sad and depressing to see, 7, 8, 9-year-old, and, she took it until she was 14, have, no emotions really. And it wasn't her, because in the summertime, she would be, jumping off the walls and wouldn't stop talking. But I much more preferred her like that because, she was lively and animated. So yeah, she sort of built a chemical dependence on the Ritalin, but luckily we were able to wean her off of it, and she's now 17, and she's been off of it for 3 years, and she is doing wonderfully. But something that I recommended to her, as I mentioned before, was the Mind Health. The number is 6102 in our catalog, and what is in that Mind Health, it actually has phosphatidylcholine, I think that's how you say it, which is a building block for neurons that, helps make the neurons, the communication between the neurons very efficient. So if there's no communication between your neurons, it doesn't matter how much serotonin and dopamine you have in your brain. It needs to be able to fire and, communicate with different parts of the brain to regulate all of those things that I mentioned before. And then the other thing that the Mind Health has is the B12 vitamin, which is an essential vitamin, and it acts as a cofactor in the synthesis of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. And B12 deficiencies, have been linked, or they affect your mood, your emotions, your sleeping, and they have actually been linked with, or low B12, or B12 deficiency is linked with OCD tendencies. And yeah, and so I recommended that to her because I know that she's been off of Ritalin for a while, but she still does struggle with her ADHD and being able to focus in school. She's now going into her senior year of high school. She's about to apply to college, and we all know the stress of that, taking, SATs and those sorts of things. And So I recommended that to her. There have been a lot of testimonials that it is great. It's all natural. It's vegan, so much better than being chemically dependent on something like Ritalin, which I don't think is. I don't think they prescribe it as much anymore. I think they prescribe Adderall and stuff like that for ADHD. But yeah, I just wanted to take a second to address mental health. Um, I've struggled with it my whole life. I've seen people struggle with it, and I just encourage communication about it, and to destigmatize mental health. It's not any different than having a lifelong condition like arthritis or you know I don't know what other I can't cardiovascular disease, something like that. It's just something that, again, we have to learn how to manage. And I encourage everyone to reach out to me if you have any questions about the mind health or the 30 days, because they have, done wonders for me. I hope that they do wonders for my friends and my family. And again, I wish you all the best to everyone. Like I said before, my link for my website for Arbonne is going to be below. Also, all my social media will be below. Feel free to DM me if you just, need someone to vent to. I am always just open to listening, even if you're a stranger. I think that, we should really just be there for one another, and, we're all human at the end of the day, and we all have the same life and world that we're living in, and so you're not alone. So anyway, thanks, YouTube, and I will see you in a couple days before I go to Greece. That's when I will be ending my 30-day challenge, so that I can drink coffee and alcohol and absinthe or whatever they have over there in Greece. And cheers, everyone. Happy Monday.